So now that we've established that the chances of this election not being fraudulent are almost none. I mean, really. And I'm not going to say none because I would have had to actually be there for me to say 100%, but I will give it a plus. Okay. You got an A+ from me, Venezuelan elections. So I will go with that right now. Let's fam, for lack of time. I know you're going to be talking about it on many shows. You'll probably talk about it again. Let's talk about this coup attempt that's happening right now in Venezuela. I still have some of my friends there. One of my friends has been waiting at the airport for hours to get out. But let me just preface this by saying the situation has been largely controlled by the Venezuelan government. The military has given its okay. I will show you Camila Escalante's thread on the military, the minister of the military, I forget his exact title, but he was the one that has said all of the army, the military, stands with the Venezuelan Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela. So let's go ahead and talk about some of the things that we have seen that happened, because it has been a crazy few days. So this was a video of some of the military really trying to quell the opposition from the attacks that were happening. There were several attacks. There was an attack at the the central voting area, the central voting national voting council, where the electoral council, where the main centers where all of these tallies go to were at. So there was an attack there. They were trying to burn things down, the opposition. There were other attacks against civilians, Chavistas, that were just walking on the street by the opposition. And Maduro went on and he basically did a chat with the people, because he always goes live. I don't know if you guys know this, but Maduro, he always streams live, and he streams live on Twitter all the time. So if you ever catch him, like, he'll be cooking with his wife or doing something like that, and or he'll be like dancing. But in the last couple of days, obviously, he was just going live in terms of talking to the public after the election because of everything that happened. So he went live and started talking about all of these things that were happening. And he gave a lot of points, and he called out, obviously, not just Elon Musk, he's called out also the United States directly for their involvement in this. So there was an attack on the military and 23 people were wounded. And according to the Venezuelan defense minister, that's his title, the FANB troops, these are them, they have been, of course, calling for peace. If you can just scroll down a little bit, I will explain some of that as well. So these are some of the statements by Maduro I want to touch on, right? Because they already did an investigation on everything that's been going on, all the attacks on the people, the attacks on certain statues, and they have been smaller than what the media has made them look like. Because if you go online right now, you'll find like the huge channels on Twitter, like End Wokeness and a bunch of these channels, they're sharing videos from 2017 during the Guarimbas. And these Guarimbas are basically protests by the opposition, but they're not protests. They're basically trying to start chaos, trying to start violent actions on the street, trying to get everything extremely chaotic and violent. So people on the outside will be like, oh my God, Venezuela's having a revolution. They want to get rid of Maduro. And look, we need to support Venezuela. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to do it again. They tried before, of course, during and before Juan Guaido. And now they're trying to do it again. They're trying to bring this back. And so Maduro was talking about all of this, and he talked about how most of these people who are committing these crimes have a criminal record. They are a high percentage of people who just arrived into the country. They are also 90% of them are on drugs of some sort. And they have identified the masterminds behind all of these actions. And he pointed, of course, to the United States as being even behind the opposition. He said that they are paid $150 a day, which is significant for people who are not making a lot of money at all. That is actually a very good amount of money to be given just to be told, start this out. So, for example, if I'm trying to start a color revolution, right, in Venezuela, I'm going to pay up like 20 people, 30 people some money, and they're going to go and start things. And that's how things build up. All you need is somebody with some money to do this stuff, and you can make it happen. So who's giving them that money, right? Because these people don't have this money. So obviously somebody was giving them this money.
Ma'am, this is, remember when Victoria Nuland said this is classic Russian aggression, whatever she said, when they going into the U.S. Research labs that become bioweapon labs when the Russians get in there. And, Antony Blinken would use the term classic Russian. No, this is classic United States intervention. We've seen this time and time before. We saw this in 2018 in Nicaragua. We have all the receipts. We saw it with the Iran-Contra scandal. We have all the receipts. We saw it in Bolivia. We have all the receipts. We see it all the time. We saw it in Honduras when they moved Manuel Zelaya. They have all the receipts. The United States fascist imperialist arm, the corporations, multinationalists, want all the resources in Latin America. And if they don't want all the resources, they still want to make sure that these countries are under the control of the IMF. They're using our currency. They don't go elsewhere. And we do it with a bullet, a gun, and a tank. We do this all the time. This is classic United States foreign policy. What more do you need John Bolton out there telling you? As a man who organized coup d'etat, who was a very strong figure in the Ronald Reagan days of intervention, with Elliot Abrams, a war criminal, doing this. We do this time and time again. There's been no evidence that we've stopped. There'll be no evidence that we will stop. And that's what's going on in Venezuela right now. And it's even more higher stakes for the corporations because Venezuela's got oil. Lots of it.
So yeah, I mean, Pasta, these are the footprints of a US-backed attempted color revolution. It has every single element that points in that direction. The funding is not coming from the Chavistas. It's not coming from just only the opposition in Venezuela. It is an opposition that exists in Miami, an opposition that exists in the United States, and that is working directly with the US government. If you look at pictures of Maria Corina Machado, she was not only giving her support to Israel, but she's been giving her support to George Bush, George W. Like, I mean, this woman has been around and she has been pushing this agenda for a very long time. She is not somebody that is brand new to this. She has been around and she has this desire, kind of like Keiko Fujimori in Peru, to access that sort of power. Another thing I want to point out that Maduro said is he said that these people went to the elections not to vote. They went to the elections to create conditions of violence after the vote. So he talked about that. And he talked about how he has told everybody, and he has today, people are supposed to be marching for peace all day. He talked about how they have to keep peace, to not let themselves get angry or violent and be enticed to go and participate in this violence, because that's exactly what they want, right? And he also said the entire world needs to see and open their eyes about what's going on in Venezuela on this coup d'etat. And there's other videos that are actually real of these people getting attacked, of police forces getting attacked, of civilians getting attacked. It hasn't been as many as has been laid out in the media and social media or mainstream media, but has been a few. He talks about the acts of violence in certain sectors by this group called the Voluntad Popular, which is this opposition group. And he just told people to remain vigilant, and that there were still international observers there that were trying to get out, and some of them who are just remaining there. And Maduro said that they're not going to cause damage to the economy. Now, I want to point this out, this very quick. I want to take down fake news, because there was a lot of propaganda by some of these accounts. The deep state account, the accounts that go after the deep state, right? They say they don't like the deep state. They say that, they hate the globalists, but here they are pushing the talking points of the State Department. Here we go. Because the moment you put socialism or it's a Venezuelan, or it's a country like Venezuela in Latin America, or it's China, or it's, any country that's not, close to Europe like Russia, or if it's a country in the Middle East, they automatically have to either say it's a socialist commie country or a terrorist country. And so that's why I don't trust a lot of these people who, we're against the war in Ukraine, but go down a little bit south or a little bit east, and then it becomes, oh no, these people need to get out. Maduro needs to be removed. So here we go. This account, End Wokeness, has been really tweeted by a lot of people. I see them getting retweeted all the time. And this video was shared from them. They might have deleted it. I'm not sure if they did. But this video was shared from them, and they claim to show these Maduro supporters closing the polling station to keep the opposition from voting. But it was, in fact, the opposition who came in with about 100 people to shut down a polling station and stop the people from entering to vote. How do I know? Because
let's get the end. Let's show it. Where's the end wokeness tweet?
I know I've got so many. I'm not sure which one you're talking about.
It's right under this thread. If you see the thread that we were on, where I was talking about the Venezuelan opposition continues to push for a color revolution.
Right there,
the one I was
up the other way, right there. End wokeness. Nope, it says end wokeness right there. Make that
right
big.
there. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, so you see their tagline, right? You can vote your way into communism, but you can't vote your way out. Venezuela is shutting.
They've been using this term all over the place. The other people, I like to call her my friend. Martha Bueno has been using this term.
She's your friend.
The other people, I consider her friend. I try to listen. I want to point this out. This is why I stopped using the term Gusano, because I strongly disagree with her on a lot of these other the issues right here. I refuse to push further with her online after that one time, because what she has done, she has been the main person for the Free Ross. I have my sign right here, Free Ross Ulbricht. Okay, and I think it's very important. She was like all our Julian Assange friends. She was big on the Free Ross movement. The day I met Martha Bueno in Freedom Fest in Vegas a couple years ago, I met Ross Ulbricht's mom, who was with her, hanging out with her. She's just done such an amazing job pushing the Free Ross movement. I heard her and the Hawk Tua girl. The Hawk Tua girl has been pushing Free Ross too as well. I hope they hook up, have a fundraiser, get more attention to that. I admire her work. The chair, Angela McCarter, who is the best chair of all the parties right now, and any party out there right now, made sure to push forth the Free Ross, where Donald Trump said, if I become president, I will free Ross Ulbricht. And that is very, very important to what I believe in. It's a very strong libertarian point. You don't jail people for creating a free market just because they don't play along with your corporation's ways. And I admire her work there. But the work that she's been doing when it comes to Cuba, Venezuela, we strongly disagree on. And the same quote that you put up here from End Wokeness, we heard people in the Twitter space yesterday using the same word. You can vote your way into communism, but you can't vote your way out. You have to fight your way out. You know what I'm saying? Don't let them take your guns, or whatever the case is. They've been using this tagline, all of them, in lockstep. And this is not like a mainstream media tagline. This is like an underground, populist right, social media tag that they've been using, fam. And it's
not underground though. It's very popular in those sectors.
It's popular in the social media. It's just not mainstream news media tagline.
Yeah,
but they hate communism too, anyways.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really care if they hate communism or not. What I care about is if the reality of something, if something is true or not. And they're using a lot of fake videos, or a lot of videos that they're switching the narrative entirely 180. They're saying that it was the Maduro, the Chavistas, keeping people from voting, when it was actually the opposition doing that. And we know, because people were on the ground that we know that reported this. So there's absolutely no way that this isn't true, because when you have people on the ground that are reporting something, you're going to go with what the people on the ground are saying, not with what a bunch of Americans are saying. And what the worst part of all of this is, the people that were spreading all of these videos online were literally US Americans. They were from the United States, spreading all these videos and saying that the same thing is going to happen here that's happening in Venezuela if Kamala Harris wins, because Kamala Harris is a socialist, and they need to fix, and our elections need to be protected so they don't become like the Venezuelan elections. That, I mean, it is absolutely 180, the things they are saying, and they need to be opposed. It's not a matter of disagreement. It is a matter of fact versus fiction. And for me, it's like, you can't, there are certain lines that of people like, I don't agree to disagree on. Number one, if you probably know this one, genocide. I cannot entertain a person that's going to be a Zionist. I will not entertain a person in my life that is a Zionist. Period. End of story. If you're not a communist, of course I will have conversations with you. Most of the world in the United States, most of the people are not communists. So obviously that's not, a red line for me, because I think that people need to be talked to. We need to have exchanges of ideas and conversations. But when you're putting out false information like this, I'm absolutely gonna call it out.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it out. And even the people I respect, like I said, like Martha and other, the people we heard on that Twitter talk yesterday, and I'm rooting for the girl Valentina. I forgot her last name. She's running for Secretary of State of Missouri. Dude, I'm rooting for her against the establishment person, but
she's establishment as they come, Pasta.
Huh?
She's establishment as they come, Pasta.
Yeah.
I mean, okay. If you think Trump is not part of the establishment at this point, guys, you've lost your mind. Trump is part of the establishment, and his whole party pushing this two-party, it's a uniparty. And so anyway, that's a whole other show. We could get into that
I'm
some
just saying,
other
I think
time.
it's more of a useful idiot than an inside person, but that's, go ahead.
Well, yeah, no, I agree with that. But so this other video that was out there was thrown all over the internet, right? And
was it the George guy?
I don't know his name, but this was a video that was shared by all of these huge
Let's
accounts.
scroll down a little bit, Jamie.
This is not the George guy. This is just a video of that was used by the opposition of a person that died. They were saying that Maduro was shooting people in the streets and killing people who were opposing his government, when in actuality, they faked a person's death. They blamed it on Maduro. And in the same video, this person is seen driving a motorcycle later after he supposedly died on camera. And so my whole point of all of this is when you go online, you need to check the date of these videos. You need to check if they're recent videos, if they're even real videos, if they've been manipulated. It says this is what they show, this is what they don't show, and this is him. It's the same guy.
They do this all the time.
There's the fake blood.
Start sharing stuff. Listen, the left got away with all this nonsense when it came to Russiagate and demonizing the Russians, and now the populist right is doing the same thing. They're guilty of the same crimes of sharing stuff, right? They're sharing stuff that is just not true, and they're using it as propaganda. They're doing the work of the deep state, and that's the deep state which they claim to oppose. I agree.
Yeah. So, okay. The other thing, fam, I wanted to point out, and I'm sure you have a lot to say about this. I didn't bring up all the tweets from Elon because there were so many.
Oh my God.
So I'll let you go and talk about that. But I just want to say, constantly Elon has been pushing election interference. Why? Well, because he owns Twitter, right? He owns X, and he has this soft spot for Zionists, yeah, but he also has a soft spot for Milei. And Milei and Argentina were trying to interfere in the Venezuelan elections. Milei was saying that the opposition won. He just knew before any of the results came out, he said the opposition won. And he was just and he was just saying that, and that's it, and that it was done. And Elon was saying, yeah, out Maduro. He was saying shame on the dictator Maduro, and he criticized Venezuela, and he said that he was the arch enemy of Venezuela's peace, and he openly declared war on Maduro. Maduro called him out, said he already owns Argentina. He wants to own Venezuela. He wants to come after. If we go back to what he said about Bolivia, we'll coup. We want to coup the lithium, and it's very interesting. That Maduro fully called him out because he did say he is a representation of a fascist, unnatural, anti-society ideology. Elon Musk is desperate. Get a grip. Whoever gets involved with me dries up. So again, we've talked about also Elon Musk going after Brazil, going after Lula. He tends to take the position of a conservative. I think this is for two reasons. One, he knows his audience is mostly on the right. He knows who he's talking to. He's a businessman. He's going to try to get all of these likes and stir things up. That's the kind of guy Elon Musk is, much like a lot of people online. And that is essentially what he's doing. And he's just, it's really gross seeing that because he talks about the elite. He talks about the globalists. He's adopted all this language that a lot of people on the right and some on the weird left sector there that says the same things as the right. A lot of them, they have adopted this. It's the elites, it's a globalist, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, do they stand by it? No, because they're pushing the CIA narrative when it comes to Venezuela, when it comes to Cuba, when it comes to any country that they politically disagree with, it automatically all goes out the window. The CIA narrative comes in. And it's like, let's overthrow these democratically elected leaders. It's hypocrisy. It's so many things that I could go on and on about that.
So you say DARPA boy, you called him, right? And is he showing his full colors right now? DARPA boy, the defense contractor who said, well, whoever we want when it came to Bolivia, showing his true colors right now as the Zionist he is, being a little guest of Netanyahu, and then also now going with the narratives against Venezuela when he doesn't know what he's talking about, throwing up dummy graphs in which he is trying to use to claim that the Venezuelan election was false when he doesn't know what he's talking about. And also Ian Miles Chong repeating these same narratives right now, usually a halfway decent reporter, I should say, at the very least, has done some good work. Really very sad moment for him as he's sharing all this baseless claims and this propaganda pieces when he doesn't even know what he's sharing, just to push out a certain narrative. And all the people who claim that they're pushing back against the deep state and foreign policy apparatus are actually supporting it. I even didn't like a tweet from our friend Colonel Douglas McGregor, and I contacted his people right away to express my concern of repeating the same propaganda. But then again, when it came to Venezuela, I wanted to bring a lot of right-wingers down there. I wanted to bring Mel K down there. I wanted to bring Mark Fincham, who was running for Secretary of State, who understands elections inside and out. I wanted to bring down a person like Colonel Douglas McGregor and let them see the democracy in front of their own eyes take place. But we didn't even be able to get a chance to get that stuff on the table as we got shut out by a lot of those other people. And I don't know if we want to talk about that now, but we are running kind of close on time. Do you have one more thing for this section?
I have a couple of things. One, I want to show Juan Guaido. I want to show Juan Guaido because he was in Miami and he said that Edmundo Gonzalez was the president of Venezuela. So he's in Miami and he decided also to recognize Edmundo Gonzalez as the president of Venezuela. So that I just want to show you guys Guaido. Look, he looks a little bit older. He's gone through. He crawled so this guy could walk, and so then this guy could run, I guess.
Go ahead, Gracias por participar, gracias por la expresión de mayoría, gracias por defender la democracia. Ganó Venezuela. Edmundo González Urrutia es
He said thank you for participating in the democracy. Edmundo Gonzalez is the president of Venezuela.
Show the words up there, Jamie. Close it. Yeah.
There are no words. Are there words?
No, above it, right here. You said it right here.
Yeah. I already said it. So, essentially that's Guaido. So he had to get his word in. And this is as of today. Camilla posted this earlier because I wanted to point this out again, that the military, the defense minister, has reaffirmed the most absolute loyalty and unconditional support to Nicolas Maduro Moros, constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, our commander-in-chief, legitimately re-elected by the people's power. We are in the presence, simply put, of an attempted coup d'etat, and a coup d'etat engineered once again by these fascist factors of the extremist right, supported, of course, by the imperial factors, U.S. imperialism and its allies and their lackeys and sepoys. An attempted coup is underway for which the president, commander-in-chief of the FANB, Nicolas Maduro, has taken the lead to stop it, again, together with the Venezuelan people who elected him. The FANB and all the democratic institutions of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, we are going to defeat this coup attempt once again. No one can defeat the conscience of an entire people. No one can defeat the moral strength of an institution such as ours. The Bolivarian National Armed Forces. It's time for loyalty to the homeland and its institutions. The guarimbas of recent years only caused the death of innocent people and considerable material damage. Pseudo leaders and criminal orgs that promote this dark path hide cowardly while employing armed criminals and foreign trained mercenaries to execute their macabre plans. 23 military personnel and 25 police officers injured. Also deceased was First Sergeant Jose Antonio Torres of the Bolivarian National Guard in the state of Aragua, killed by a gunshot wounds to the neck. And the FANB reiterates its unwavering commitment to peace. We will act with forcefulness and perfect civic military police union to preserve internal order, always within the framework of the Constitution and the laws, as well as respect for human rights. So that's Camilla's thread. You guys should go look at it. It's all in Spanish, so she was just kind of translating what was being said. But one of the things I want to point out before we finish up with this section is the countries that have backed Venezuela immediately: Cuba, Nicaragua, Honduras, Russia, China, I believe Iran, Syria, the usual suspects, right? The usual suspects. Brazil, Mexico as well also. Brazil and Colombia were sort of waiting it out. I'm not sure if that they already did or not, or they said something more neutral. When it comes to Paraguay, Uruguay, Costa Rica, Panama, El Salvador, Ecuador, Peru, I believe That's the majority of those countries. They were completely, obviously, in opposition to Venezuela. They have refused to recognize the results. What ended up happening, Venezuela recalled all of its ambassadors and slashed diplomatic relations with these countries. And that's something important to point out. That might seem radical to some people, but it is taking a stand in them saying, if you're not going to recognize our national sovereignty, you are traitors to our cause. These are Latin American countries. They should stick together. It's kind of be reminding me of Saudi Arabia and Jordan and Egypt and these countries that have betrayed the Palestinian resistance. It's really reminding me of that. Either you're going to recognize and our sovereignty and you're going to recognize that the people of Venezuela voted for this, or we're just going to chop relations with you because we're done with this bullshit. And that's essentially what's happened. And it's a very big deal because it means that, one, Latin America is divided. We have only a small percentage of countries that have stood with strength against U.S. imperialism. And then you have a lot of these countries that have, Southcom, for example, exists in Peru. They have taken over the country. I forgot to mention Bolivia. Bolivia has expressed also solidarity with Venezuela's election. So, but you have the majority of these countries where the CIA cutouts are there, the NED, Southcom. It's the same type of US-backed structure that's there. So this is going to say a lot for what's to come. And I do think that if we get a Trump president, we're going to get an Iran war, which, by the way, breaking news, you all know, Lebanon was attacked. Israel attacked Lebanon in Beirut, right outside of Beirut. So that happened as well while we were live. And that's definitely started. So a lot of things can happen with the Trump presidency. I think we're going to see a focus on the global South, in Latin America, and in the Middle East.
Yeah.